This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
What's going on, Rally? How you been, man?
Oh, Ted, my man. Boy, I've been great. And we got a lot to cover on this episode today, so I can't wait to get into it. Let's do it, brother.
We do have a lot to cover, man. We took a week off. That was on me. I was out of the country enjoying some cervezas and some tequila, probably a little bit too much. But before I jump into that, man, how'd that century ride go? You've been training for that thing for months. Our listeners have been following your progress on TikTok and on Twitter. And I saw that it happened when I was gone, man. How'd everything go?
Oh, man, it went nice. Cambridge, Maryland is just a great, flat, thank God, surface that we were able to get it in. And I was able to finish the ride in 7 hours and 21 minutes. A lot of people did it a lot faster, but hey, it was just an accomplishment for me. So I wasn't worried about trying to be a speed demon per se. I just wanted to be able to say that I have completed my first century ride.
7 hours straight. You didn't take a break. You didn't.
Oh, no. Okay. So they have fuel stops or rest stops. So like at the 25-mile mark or 26-mile mark, you fuel up, you get some Gatorade, some type of juice or, bananas, pickle juice, that type of thing, to get your carbs back up. And then you ride for another maybe 25 miles or whatever have you. And there's another stop and kind of the same thing goes along. And I'd say that when I got to mile marker like 75 to 80, that's when it got tough, bro. Those last 20 miles just seemed just to just wear on me, man. But hey, I persevered. Here I am, and it's all good, man. I'm very happy that I was able to complete it. I don't think that I would ride another one. I think that what I'll do is I'll ride the 50. They have 60, 50, 30. Well, 30 doesn't do anything for me anymore. So 50 to 60 is where I am now, to where I can start doing those on a constant basis.
Man, you got to get like a more relaxing hobby, because you ever do Google Maps, right? And you're trying to find out how far a destination is. And they give you the option if you're driving there, or if you're taking public transportation, or if you're going to bike there or walk there. And I always wonder, like, it'll take me 2 days to walk to Ocean City, Maryland, apparently from here. Like, who the hell does that? But then it gives you the hours if you're biking. Like,
yeah,
I didn't know who would ever do that, but apparently that's you.
Yeah. And well, B Mitch does it. So I mean, riding 30 crew. Shout out
He's
to them.
a little crazy. I mean, it's he admits it, but
I gotta say, man, that it's an excellent way to exercise and get exercise for your body. I burned, I think, like 2,500 calories. I mean, it was just a good day, and the weather cooperated, no rain or anything like that. And in Cambridge, Maryland, like I said, has some great scenery. I was able to go past the Harriet Tubman Museum, Underground Railroad. Yeah. So I mean, it was nice, man.
That's awesome, man. I drive past that thing all the time, and I'll be thinking about you this weekend when I'm driving out there. And notice I said driving, because zero chance you will catch me riding a bike anywhere around there. I got a Peloton behind me. I got to actually submit for part of that recall, since that thing is potentially going to break if I'm sitting on top of it. Good news is I haven't sat on top of it in a while, so no worries about it busting.
So basically, what you're telling me is it's a new closet.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at it right now. There's a pair of headphones on it, and I got some commander's gear that's strewn upon it. And after getting back from Mexico, I kind of wish I rode that thing and got on it before I actually went on my trip, because I went out there to go surfing. And oh my gosh, man, I thought I was in decent shape. I've lost some LBs, but they took us surfing in, I haven't been longboarding and actually out there. I typically go out in Ocean City. Not the same at all. You're paddling out for basically 200 yards, maybe 150 yards
Okay.
in this beach that's all rocks. There was a point break out there. So the waves were breaking at the exact same spot every single time. Absolutely gorgeous if that's what you're into. No
Okay.
more than 2 feet, nothing big. So perfect for, I'm a beginner when it comes to surfing. Well, I'm paddling out there on this big ass longboard and I thought my arms were going to fall off. I mean, it's just never used to really dealing with that because out at Ocean City, it's more of a shore break, beach break, definitely not as long to get out past it. And busted my ass, my back and just arms and traps and everything were killing me for days. And then I ended up, if any of you follow me on Instagram, ended up cutting my foot up, man. And luckily it was I think 3 more days left in the trip. Got on the board, riding it, taking it in, and jumped off on the side, sliced my foot wide open on a freaking rock. So the surf instructors didn't give a damn. I hobbled my ass back to shore, and then I had to limp all the way back to the actual surf shop. It was maybe a 10-minute walk, but a lot longer on one foot. And then I get back to the surf shop and they try and clean it up for me. Let's just say the doctor had to come visit me at the hotel 2 days later because they didn't do a good job at the surf shop. Shocker. And hoping to get back on my feet in time for OTAs so I can be out there. And I actually was jealous, man, because when I was coming back, I saw that you were at Rookie Minicamp.
Yeah. But before we go into Rookie Minicamp, let me ask you a question. So you step off the board, you hit the rock, and now you're bleeding, and I'm sure you're bleeding profusely. So did it ever in your mind did you think, well, damn, I know that sharks like blood. I'm bleeding in the water. Where's Jaws? Did it ever cross your mind?
No, it actually, now that you point that out, it probably should have crossed my mind. It didn't because one foot was so banged up, but not actually cut up. The one that we're going to actually walk on, and then the other one was bleeding. So I'm just literally trying to keep sand out of it the entire time. And there was, not to get too graphic, there was seaweed in it. So it's like, I was just in bad shape. And I got this board I got to carry at the same time. So I just said, F this. I just left the board there. Let the instructors deal with that later. And they had pictures of everybody afterwards, right? That they did like a slideshow. They apparently didn't get me once in any of the pictures. And I know I stood up on that damn thing. So I want my money back because I got no proof other than this cut on my foot that it actually happened.
Damn. Because see, the reason why I bring that up is because I was in the Bahamas one time and was swimming. And, I didn't want to get my head into the water because it's salt water. It hurts your eyes. So I was kind of, doggy paddling, if you will, my head above water. And all of a sudden, unlike you, but I hit a rock with my ankle and just opened it wide open. And blood was going everywhere. And I was hurt. But the only thing that I could think about in my mind was, are there sharks near here? That made me speed up my swimming. So the head went down the proper way. I didn't care about my eyes burning or anything.
Or your hair.
I wanted to get back to land. Who cares about hair? I'm not a girl. But I'm talking about just getting back to land because only thing in the back of my mind, I saw Jaws. Now I didn't see Jaws, but in my mind, I saw Jaws. And so I said, I put the head down and started doing the full swim, bro. And I got back to the beach, and luckily mine wasn't as bad as yours, but I was able to just apply direct pressure with the bandage, but I didn't have to get stitches or anything like that.
Yeah, it never came across, but at the resort I was at, I brought my board with me from DC, and I went out there, caught a bunch of waves, hanging out. There were apparently like stingrays all along the beach that were jumping out of the water. And I was wondering, why am I the only one out here? Turns out that's why, because people were just scared. They didn't say not to go out, but just depending on the time of day, you might not want to be there. And I don't know. To me, I think I read somewhere, and I don't even want to bring it up, but like the odds of you getting bit by a shark is 1 in like 11.5 million.
Okay.
But the day it happens, good luck trying to buy a lottery ticket because it ain't going to look too good for you at that point.
Nah. So did you have to buy like oversized luggage for your board?
Yeah, we went Southwest, so it actually
Okay.
took care of the oversized luggage and didn't have to worry about it.
Cool.
Kind of wish we didn't do that because it was a long flight home because we did the whole Southwest thing and everything else. But man, if anyone enjoys stuff like that, getting out to this place in Mexico was absolutely gorgeous. Other than
Cool.
all the rocks, it was definitely a good time.
All right. Now that we've got the shark stuff out of the air or out of the water, shall I say, let's get into this rookie mini camp. And, Ted, this is the first time that we're basically able to see pieces of the team, from where we left off last year, as far as the rookies are concerned, and being able to see fans, Coach Rivera, Eric Bieniemy, and the top rookies and undrafted free agents that we have. Man, I was excited, man. So I have to say that there's a gentleman by the name of Jadakiss Bonds, and he reminds me of Cam Sims. And I say that because
Didn't work out
I didn't
too well
know
for Cam.
no, I know it didn't, but here where I'm going with this. So his back is turned to me, and I'm looking and I'm walking and I'm saying, man, I thought we got rid of Cam Sims. Hairstyle, body style, and type reminds me of Cam Sims. He just does. I mean, make no bones about it. So he's going through plays, and the first couple of plays, Ted, he did not look good. He just didn't look good at all. And I think it was maybe because he was having opening day jitters. So all of a sudden, he shook it off and he was catching everything, bro. So on that aspect, he did not remind me of Cam Sims. But prior to that, just looking at his body type, Cam Sims body double all day long. And you will never get anybody else to say differently. So if you see it, you're going to say, Rally, I see exactly what you're talking about. But the kid can catch. And if I'm not mistaken, he's coming from Hampton. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't, or he does make the team. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the, because the guy, he was snagging everything.
Who was throwing him the ball when he was dropping it? Was it Sam or who was it?
No, Sam was none of the veterans were out there.
I think he's a rookie. He's not. He only played one game. So yeah,
he's not. Yeah, he's not a rookie. He can pin it on his shoulder. Hey, I'm not a rookie. Get off my jock, Ted. But I don't remember the kid's name because they had like 4 quarterbacks. But the quarterback that did catch my eye was Todd Centeio. Centeio, I think if I pronounced that correctly, and he's from James Madison. Fundamentals, the guy looks good. Will he make the team? I don't know, but just the first day out there throwing the ball, his fundamentals, he looked good. He looked crisp. He looked sharp. And I was just impressed by him. And the mere fact that I even know his name should tell you something. The other highlight that I'm sure you've been hearing about is Forbes. Forbes got out there and I saw him snag his first pick, Ted. And bro, if this is any inclination of how the kid is going to be, he is going to be nice. And I see why we drafted him. Now, my arm, and I know you can see my arm is as big as his thigh, but
his thigh. Not even his leg, his thigh.
No, his thigh. My arm is as big as his thigh. All right. But they were calling him Flacco on the sidelines. And for everybody that speaks Spanish, Flacco is skinny. So they were calling him Flacco. So that might be his nickname. I don't know. But but the kid can ball, even though he may be a little slim. And I was happy to see that. Now I want to see him in pads. And I want to see him go through some hitting drills to be able to say, okay, yeah. But other than that, I can see he has the gumps. The other highlight that I want to talk about is running back Rodriguez. Now, Rodriguez his first day, if I have to be honest with everyone, okay, he kind of didn't do well. All right. But
Individual drills or just in what aspect?
Individual drills. And if you saw my picture on all social media platforms where I said, Coach, Bieniemy is nothing to play with, look at that face. There was a couple drills where Rodriguez is going through the drills, but I guess in Rodriguez's mind, his footing was off. And because his footing was off, he kind of half-stepped it, if you will, and then got down on himself and slowed down. And all of a sudden, those laser eyes of Coach Bieniemy got on him and said, Chris, finish the drill. I don't care if you mess up. You finish the drill. And Chris is trying to say, well, I don't care. Finish the drill.
Really? It was like that?
Oh, bro. Oh, man. And it happened twice. And it was a situation where, once again, I guess maybe for the drill, in his mind, he wanted to go left foot high or left foot in the air, right foot on the ground. And maybe he started off right foot in the air, left foot on the ground. So it kind of just messed his whole footing situation up, going over the bags. And you can see he was like, oh, yeah, okay, I messed up. And Coach said, I don't care if you mess up. You will finish this drill. And it was just a breath of fresh air hearing the coach being able to, you see him looking hypothetically to his left at what the player linemen are doing, and all of a sudden in the back of his head know what the running backs are doing. It was amazing. And then when the team finally did the makeshift line, or however you want to look at it, 7-on-7 drills, when they finally did line up, and he told the center, this is your huddle. You get these guys where you want to go, own it. And a couple times, the center was in his position to where he was lined up where he wanted to be, but the other players were off kilter. They weren't around him.
Gotcha.
And coach said, stop it. God dang it. Get them lined up the way you want to. And it was just, Ted, I haven't heard this, man, since high school. I hadn't heard this since a little bit of college. I just hadn't heard it. And so even throughout the different training camps, and we know that we've been through a lot, brother, I haven't heard it. I heard it last week. I heard it Friday. I mean, just putting everyone in their place. And he knew it. And the tempo that he was running the practice was just unfathomable. And Coach Rivera was doing what Coach Rivera does. And if you can see my arms, you see this?
Yeah.
Everyone knows that this is Coach Rivera's mantra. He crosses up, and he really didn't have two things to say. And that surprised me as well. So, Eric, my hat's off to you, my brother. Salute to you, because he is getting them where he wants them to go and where the position that he wants them to be. So I'm very happy about that, man.
So, I mean, I can't imagine what it's like being a rookie. This is just rookie camp. You got no vets or no one to rely on. And running these drills for the first time as a potential pro. I mean, these guys are on the 90, or they got signed to, rookie contracts, some of them at that point, and some of them are there for tryouts. And Rodriguez, he's a 6th-round running back, knowing all the guys he's got in front of him that he's going to try and beat out. I mean, a 6th-rounder making an NFL roster, it's not a guarantee. A 3rd-rounder, a guarantee, unless you really screw up or something happens, or you throw gang signs and stuff like that. That's happened to some other players out there that just got drafted. But on top of that, then you also have Eric Bieniemy, who's trying to make an impression because it's his first time over here. I mean, I'd be having bubble guts all day long, sitting out there at the park, wondering, don't mess this up. And if Bieniemy's not going to get on him, Coach Randy Jordan, who runs running backs, he'll make sure he does too. And I love to hear that. I'm curious how that's going to go with the vets, because it's pretty public that Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes got into arguments. And that's Patrick Mahomes, and he can deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious how some of the, I don't want to say prima donnas, but some of the guys on our team, and it's not Club J. You know, when Gruden was here, they famously had Club J, and they would have music playing during practice, and they had the ping pong table that got removed. This is year 4 under Rivera. So you got a bunch of vets that might not be used to that style. So I'm going to be curious to see once actual OTAs happens and once training camp happens, how all that's going to be taken. Because I feel that Terry is going to do well with it. He just wants to be molded and he wants to win. John Allen, granted, he's on defense, Eric's on offense, but John will be okay with it because he gets into it with his own teammates if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, you know, during a freaking game. We all saw that. But I'm hoping that that is Bieniemy's true style and not just how he was with these rooks, because it was just their first entry into, you know, the NFL, if you will.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I liked is, so I'm not going to call the play that he called, but I'm just going to say this play is called Moose. Okay. So they basically ran 2 plays. Let's say one was called Moose and the other is called Chameleon. Okay. Let's say Moose and Chameleon. Now, out of Moose and Chameleon, it was the same lineup, but they could go, they had 4 different variations of Moose and Chameleon, if you follow what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
So he'd say, Moose, Moose, and the guys would run up to the line, and he had the radio with the quarterback, and you could see him calling the play to the quarterback, and the quarterback would go in there, and God dang it, and the quarterback would run the play. God dang it, no, Moose, Moose, Chameleon, come. I mean, he was barking at him, so they had to adjust to those plays on the fly. So it was like they had called 2 plays at once, but so the lineman would know what formation to line up in.
It's typical,
but, yeah. But the mere fact is, like I said, you just didn't hear it. I can't say I heard it last year. Maybe you did. I didn't hear it last year.
I was at every practice except for 2 last training camp, and I did not hear a coach publicly lay in to anybody. Now, we don't get to be at all of practice. The media is not allowed at all of practice, neither are the fans. So it wouldn't surprise me if players got berated after the fact. Actually, no, let me take that back. There was one moment where Rivera ripped into him because one of the guys took another teammate to the ground when they weren't allowed to. And we ended up getting in trouble because of that.
Yes,
Other
I do
than
remember.
Rivera uncrossing his arms because that happened, no real like in-person example making or berating on the field, which, you know what? It reminds me of Richie Pettibone. And it reminds me of, you know, Greg Williams just getting into his guys and bringing those 2 guys up for example, because they were successful coaches with successful defenses, successful teams. And hey, we've been mediocre at best the past 20 plus years. So maybe that's what we need. I'm hoping it stays, man. I'm hoping it continues.
Oh, like I said, it was a breath of fresh air, man. And the other thing that I like is, and we brought this up a couple shows a while back, but I said, what really excites me is I still don't know the last time we've had an assistant head coach. And I was supposed to do my research and I didn't. So fans, forgive me, but I don't know the last time that we've had an actual assistant head coach. And you could just tell that the pressure was off of Rivera a little bit. Now the interim dealings that he may have, his interim pressure, that's going to be there. But you could just look and see that he was just a little bit more relaxed, having someone else do what he was doing for the last 4 years.
See, I don't feel that Rivera was even really doing that because he's more defense and he doesn't really have a lot to say when it comes to play calling or anything like that. That was more so Scott Turner. But I also feel that he's just his whole way here. He's been CEO. He's had
Right.
all these other guys. He let Del Rio deal with his guys. He let Scott Turner deal with his guys. When they had to fire Sam Mills, he got involved at that point and said Sam got let go. And then when Coach Z took over, it was just his whole thing to run with. And maybe that's just how Rivera does his coaching. And I don't think he's a good coach. I don't understand why people treat him like Vince Lombardi. He gets a pass because he was going through chemo and cancer the first year and stuff like that. I get, but people don't realize he's only had 3 winning seasons his entire NFL career. And what I'm wondering is he going to survive this entire NFL season? And Rivera teams typically start off late. They don't win early on in their seasons. And the NFL schedule came out last Thursday. How do you feel about all the schedule leaks? I was curious. I wanted to know what you were thinking about that.
Well, I was right there in the middle of it, and a couple of them, I was going on the Twitter and Facebook and the news and everything else. Everyone else is, because I wanted to know. As far as this whole, I tell you what I disagree with. I disagree with the NFL Network. 8:00, the schedule comes out. Hey, just put it out. But I understand it's ratings. Everyone doesn't have the time to research Twitter and Google and all that other type of stuff. So for that part of the population, they are actually awaiting 8:00 to find out what their team schedule is going to be. But I'd say for probably 50%, maybe 60%, they already know, and they're just waiting. They're just waiting to confirm, if you will, at 8:00. Were these leaks actually true, and can I start making my travel arrangements or whatever I want to do? Because I got to tell you, nothing. Even though I got the leaks, nothing was put in front of me until 8:00. I felt okay with it, but I just didn't want to take that chance in trying to buy anything or get any contracts set up. Get on the phone,
especially doing what you do.
Yeah.
I used to get the schedule a couple of days ahead of time, and it was sworn to secrecy. And if it got out, then people would know that it came from individuals that shouldn't have shared it. And there was actually a reporter for Green Bay that tweeted out the entire Packers schedule on Wednesday, not just a game here and a game there. He put the entire thing on social media, and I got no doubt that guy got his ass in trouble. But some fans were complaining about it. Like, I think JP Finley talked about one game, and then it leaked out that we were playing the Cowboys on Thanksgiving ahead of time. Like, to me, it's kind of fun. They're like little Easter eggs you find. And I went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Volume 3 before I left the States, because I didn't want someone on Twitter to spoil the movie for me and screw it up. And to me, the schedule leaks are like Easter eggs that you're finding in a movie that you're looking forward to, and you're watching, you're hanging out there, and then all of a sudden, all of it's there. And it didn't really bother me because I'm out in Mexico and I'm seeing all these different things. And we're supposed to go to a wedding in October, and the bride and groom, I flat out told them, I don't know if I can go. You guys got to talk to Roger Goodell, because either if we got a home game, I'm not there, or if it's a bye week, then maybe we can show up. And we actually got a text message from them saying, saw the schedule came out. You guys got an away game. Get ready to book your ticket. I'm like, whoa, hold on here. Because I was in Mexico on a time delay out there and didn't actually get to see it yet. But when it dropped, what were your thoughts about the schedule? I kind of got my reaction. I'm curious how you felt. And it's obviously gonna be a little bit different because you're planning all these trips for everybody through svevents.net.
Well, I have to say that I'm not a fan of the Thanksgiving game. I'm not a fan of us playing on Thanksgiving, any holiday, if you will, whether it be Thanksgiving, Christmas, or New Year's. I'm just not a fan of it.
I'm right there with you.
Last year we played San Francisco on Christmas Eve, and then we had the flight debacle from hell. But that
got stranded in Denver.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with the game or anything. But I just don't like it. I feel as though I'm not going to say that the rivalry is dead per se. I still do believe that there's a rivalry. I just don't think that our squad should play on those days. And maybe I'm a little biased, but that's just me.
So here's my problem with Thanksgiving. It's the 5th time we're playing out there in 8 seasons. Okay. It's obviously a primetime game. It's a big, meaningful game. You would think the NFL wants the best game they can possibly get for those games because everyone in the world is watching this. I'm not joking. I mean, you got people in different military bases watching, the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, watching the Lions on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We're playing them on a short week. We play the Giants on the 19th, that Sunday. Then we got the Cowboys that Thursday. The team is going to fly out that Wednesday. Monday is going to be a rest day, typically is. And then you got Tuesday. So you don't have time to truly put a game plan together for Dallas. I haven't looked at Dallas's schedule to see who they play the week prior. I'll pull it up here in a minute. But if the NFL really cared about that matchup and the Cowboys versus Commanders or, prior Redskins, they wouldn't have given that to us. They would have gave us a bye or something else prior to that so both teams could be at their best. And I feel they're doing us a disservice by booking us for that game.
Yeah, totally agree with you. It's unfair. And then we as fans have to hear, if we lose, your team got blown out. Well, wait a minute. Look why we possibly got blown out. And like you said, it's because of a short week. And it's just no fun. And what we do know is the NFL always looks out for Dallas. Jerry Jones, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They look out for Jerry Jones. He brings money, but don't bring the money against us. I mean, come on. Put it on somebody else.
And the Cowboys are playing the Panthers ahead of time. So they're not playing a division game. We're playing a division game, our second division game against the Giants. So considering what happened last year, the guys are going to be amped up for that. It's just, to me, that was some frustration I had with the schedule. Who was it? Chris Russell, the Rooster from Team 980, hates Thanksgiving games. I can't stand them. I typically try and cook for Thanksgiving. I got to kick everybody out of my house by 4:00 because I'm not going to deal with people chit-chatting about The Bachelor or something else that does not have to do with our team. And I will tell them to shut the hell up. And if I ever want to be invited somewhere again, I got to kick them out because we're not going to be friends if they're talking about needless bullcrap when we're playing on Thanksgiving Day. And everyone's laughing and joking, eat early, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, now I can't do that. I can't hang out with my family. I can't do anything else because I want to focus on the game. I want to focus on the day. But the piece that kind of drove me a little bit crazy was I don't think we have any back-to-back home games. Looking at the schedule, we're home, away, home, away, home, away, and then we get 2 on the road, right? I think we've got, let's see here. I can't remember. Yeah, we got the Rams and the Jets back-to-back on the road. And there's another one. So that was kind of annoying. We got Atlanta and the Giants. So we don't have back-to-back home games. So to me, that's kind of tough to not really get in that rhythm of being able to play at home and get some proper rest for these guys. And yeah, they're flying private. They're going up to Philly, probably taking the train, going up to New York. But the fact that it's also helter-skelter across, that was kind of frustrating to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a disservice, but at the same time, I guess they look at it as we're going to give you guys something to come back to, hopefully. And what we do know is that ticket sales are gone through the roof. So they are expecting, I'd say almost a full house or close to it as far as butts and seats are concerned. So I think that's maybe why they did it, Ted. Give the people something to be able to come back to to get back to the stadium.
And I'm actually surprised that we're opening up at home against the Cards. And JP Finley's been talking about this a ton. There are a bunch of events at FedEx Field in August. You got the Beyonce concert, you got Morgan Wallen, you've got a bunch of things going on. So I know they're going to have it ready. I know we're going to be fine. Part of me is just concerned that the stadium, Morgan Wallen's on Saturday September 2nd, right? That's the Saturday before the home opener, like the week before the home opener. So
the ground crew is going to be working 24/7.
Oh yeah, to flip that field around
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that she's straight and ready to go for the season opener against the Cards. And I know we're going to be packed, man. I have already had a bunch of groups reach out to me saying, we want to bring people to the tailgate. We want to do this. I was like, hey, slow your roll. I get it. It's May. Let's talk when it gets closer. But I picked up a dozen tickets just because as a season ticket holder, we're getting discounts on tickets right now. And I know people are going to bug me when it gets closer and they're going to ask me for some. So I'm just preparing to help those people out because I don't want to deal with it when it gets closer, trying to hunt and find them seats. And it's few and far between, man. I asked for a 4-pack of lowers available for that game. I got 4 different options in the 100 section and the 200 section that were left in the entire stadium.
Wow.
So I mean,
see,
it's crazy.
I sent a tweet out to Jason Wright and said, hey, and we talked about it. Hey, if the fan participation is up, will you be able to take those cloths or those whatever you want to call tarps off of the seats? Well, they say there aren't seats in there anymore. But will you be able to do it? I never got a response, but it would be nice to maybe see one of those tarps come up,
It definitely would be. I don't think that there's seats there anymore. I'm almost positive they removed those and they're gone. Some of the ones were just old ratty seats and they weren't doing well, but ESPN, Seth Wickersham and John Keim actually somehow got a hold of a prospectus that was created for Josh Harris to provide to the other 16 or 17 owners that he was trying to, potential owners, to help bid on the Commanders. So inside this document, they break down a bunch of different things. If you guys haven't seen it yet, we'll tweet it out there so you can find it. There's a lot of interesting stuff. One thing I thought that was really interesting was the fact that they're talking about a new stadium in 2031. And we all know the lease at FedEx. Well, I don't want to say we all know. Some of us know the lease in FedEx is up in 2027. We've been stating for a while, they're going to go year to year on that thing. They don't have to actually move. They're not going to be homeless. They're not going to play out of Bird Stadium at the University of Maryland. They're still going to be at FedEx. But the fact that in this prospectus, they're talking about, a potential stadium being in 2031. Well, that is a while from now. So they know that they actually have to make improvements to FedEx Field. And in the article, and I can't find it exactly, but I want to say they talked about $100 million worth of improvements to FedEx Field. So I'd be interested, what are you going to improve? Are you going to put more seats back in for potential revenue at the gate? To me, it's like you're selling a house, right? It's a fixer-upper. You make investments in your kitchen and in your bathrooms because that increases property value. Well, is adding another 10,000 seats going to get them the money back on that investment by 2031 if we feel that we're going to be ready for a new stadium in 7-8 years? I don't know. I'm not a finance guy, a revenue guy, but I did find it refreshing to hear in this prospectus that they got a copy of that the Harris Group is planning on making improvements to the stadium. And like you, I reached out to Jason and I reached out to some people over there, and I was also talking about it on The Fan. Like, there were a group of us fan captains, not the ambassador program, the advisory board, and very, very small piece of us. We didn't get footballs, and no offense to anyone else in the other groups before they start getting pissed off. It's not about any of that. We didn't get anything for this. All we did was we advised the team on ways to make improvements to the stadium. Nobody wanted autographs. I'm not saying people do, but we didn't get any special perks. I pay for my season tickets, just like you pay for your season tickets, right? But some of those things that we gave as recommendations were ways to help improve the stadium bag entry lanes. You travel to games. I used to travel to games, stuff that we would pick up at other arenas, other stadiums. One of them being an Uber lot. We didn't have an Uber lot before. There wasn't a taxi lot before. So if you called to get a taxi cab, they had to come in to FedEx when all the traffic was leaving, which made it impossible. So you had to walk out to Garrett Morgan, or you had to walk out to the McDonald's and the Shoppers Food Warehouse down the road just to get a cab. So to me, it would behoove them to recreate this group, whether it's new people or what, to advise them on, you guys got a budget of $100 million or whatever it may be to spend. We know where you can make those improvements. So let's sit down and talk. I'll sign any NDA you want. We can go through, we can chat about it, but let's just make sure that the dollars are being spent where it will truly affect how we enjoy our game day between now and 2031. And some are actually saying 2031 is damn aggressive a timeline. So,
well, let's face it, if the money's right, anything is right.
That's true. It's just with, depending on where they go, politicians and things like that. And inside there, I was actually shocked. They stated that they can see Virginia giving them $1.5 billion of funding towards a stadium. And I know you live in Virginia, and I know a lot of other people that do. Depending on how that's going to get paid, they've got 17 billionaires, maybe not all billionaires, but 17 people in this ownership group to buy the Commanders. And while we were gone, you guys are listening to this, you all know that the Snyders officially are in an agreement with the Harris Group to buy the team. So this is happening. We still get tweets from people saying, I don't know, I don't believe it. It's happening. No. There's actually a penalty clause that if the sale does not happen within 90 days of last Friday, that the Harris Group has to actually pay a penalty at that point.
Oh, yeah, it's happening.
Yeah, this is going to go on. But you mean to tell me the 17 people that are all pooling all their assets together to invest in this team, you want Virginia taxpayers to pay $1.5 billion for this new stadium? You got to be kidding me.
No, I don't like that. Well, first off, I don't like the stadium even thought process of being in Virginia. I don't. I just don't. Now, if they said that, remember back in the day, and I know this isn't going to happen, but remember back in the day, it was that Alexandria site, and I can't remember.
A while ago.
That was a while ago. But I'm saying is, if they could have the stadium somewhere like in that area, I'd be all for it. But no Dumfries, no Loudon, don't do it to us. Even though I know, and I don't want it. But that's beating a dead horse. You know, I'm not going to go there. But just anyway, don't want it there, not at all. And I think a lot of people will agree with me on that. But as I've always said, wherever they go, I will be there to watch them. So, but I just, if I had my druthers, it would be at RFK, or it would be somewhere else, but not there. They could even tear down FedEx and build it next to FedEx in the red zone lot or something. I don't know, but just as long as it's not in freaking Virginia.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, just because, you know, I'm the things I'm happy about are we potentially don't have to pay PSLs until 2031. So that gives me some time to start saving some money, or start, you know, I'm not going to start a GoFundMe, but, you know, saving some cash, or get a third or fourth job to try and pay for PSLs until we get a new stadium.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm on the record of, if they move to Dumfries, I'm out. I'm just traveling with you to away games because I'm not dealing with that traffic. But what some others are hearing out there, and I'm hearing on Sports Talk Radio, that Dumfries isn't a location that they're thinking about because of how bad traffic is. And
Shocker.
Because these guys are from here. You've got Mark Ines, you've got Mitchell Rails, who are from here, who live here, who know how bad it is. So that is some saving grace to this whole stadium piece. DC Councilman McDuffie actually wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post today, and he was talking about bring the stadium, bring the Commanders back to DC, back to RFK. And if you guys haven't had a chance to read it, make sure you do. It was actually a really good op-ed, and he was on the B. Mitch and Finley show. And for those wondering, it's Wednesday, the 17th at 5 o'clock. He was on today at approximately 1:30. Go back and take a listen. They've got the podcast. After you listen to us, listen to Councilmember McDuffie, because not all of the DC City Council is against having the stadium back in DC. We've been preaching it. It's not up to DC. That's the problem. They don't own the land. So 2031 might buy them some time for Congress to get their head out their ass and maybe sell the land back to DC, knowing that it's not happening in the next 3-4 years.
Grease some more palms, you know. Do whatever you need to do to get it done, you know. And one of the other things that I keep hearing people talking about as far as the RFK site is traffic and things of that nature. Well, and parking. Well, did you go to the Vegas game?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had a walk.
So you know, for the most part, every parking was at a minimum at that stadium, and everyone pretty much parked at the hotels, and they had that main bridge that they shut down for pedestrian traffic. I'm sure that they can figure out something to send more trains in, or, you know, instead of 8-line cars, maybe 12-line cars or whatever have you, just to get more people in and out of the area like they used to do back in the day. So, you know, it can happen. We'll keep our fingers crossed, because I think it needs to be back home.
And I agree with you, but you know who's not going to care about parking? It's fans when we win.
Yeah.
You know, let's focus on improving the facility. They talked about improving, you know, not just FedEx, but the locker room, you know, the actual facilities out in Ashburn. We got an F on the NFLPA report card. Improve those things that are going to hopefully convince players, if everything is the same, to want to come here versus another town, because maybe we move that F from a B. You know, I'm not going to give them an A right away, but let's focus on that. Let's stop worrying about this new stadium or where it's going to go, because it's going to be years before it happens. And there's a lot of moving parts of that thing. But what's the one thing that you want them to do day one? Ink's dry. They have their press conference and they're addressing the media. They're addressing the fans. What's the one thing you want to hear from the Harris, Rails, Johnson, and 15 other people's group?
The first thing I think that I would want to go to is not even a product on the field, because that's going to be taken care of. Give me better traffic patterns. Give me better ways to be able to get in and out of the stadium unabated. I mean, because right now, and I understand that anytime you have 60,000 people, 70,000 people to any event, you're going to have traffic issues, but I think it could be better. I think that's one of the things that I would look at it is traffic and better signage, just off the top of my head. What about you?
So for me, I want the ownership group to tell us that they're going to be more transparent. I want them to not so much apologize, but say they are from the area. They understand what this fan base has been through. They understand that the relationship between us and the team is fractured, and that we have their word. They're going to do what they can to repair that. And the understanding that this is going to be a longer process. This is not going to be something that you give us free hot dogs and we're going to be okay. I talk about the franchise paying for the sins of Vinny Serrato when he was our GM, drafting some idiot players, you know, This new ownership group is going to be paying for the sins of Dan Snyder for a while.
Yeah.
That home opener is going to be lit. It is going to be absolutely insane. But if they want to keep that up through week 3, through week 10, when the Eagles come to town, they've got direct control of that. You know, they took away our Redskin rewards program.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us were saving up points and things like that for different events. Those of you who don't know, if you were a season ticket member, you got reward points. I think they were yards that you would redeem for tunnel access, for autograph footballs, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And one morning, just like Thanos snapped his fingers, it disappeared.
It was gone, bro. It was gone.
You know?
I'm laughing at it now, but it wasn't funny, man.
No, it wasn't, man. And just stuff like that. Like, you got to look at it from our point of view. And if there is some type of commiseration, that's what I want to hear day one, knowing that we're going to work together to get it back to what it was and to make it better than we ever thought it could be.
So do you remember when Larry Michaels would have, of course you do, they would have the fan forums, and we would come to FedEx and he'd do the whiteboard and he'd write down everything that we were talking about. I mean,
Coke versus Pepsi. Yeah.
I actually remember some of the things that he wrote down, and they did eventually implement them. So there is a cause and effect to having these type of meetings. If you guys are by a chance listening, which we hope you are listening to the DMV Mess Hall.
I can tell you they are, because I get text messages from them saying, why'd you say that?
So yes, go out of the way and have a meeting, a forum, to where, you know, we can voice our opinions, and it's not necessarily going to be a bitch session. It will be where we generally put our heads together and give you guys legitimate ideas. Now, you can't stop all there are going to be some kooky people who come, obviously, but for the most part, they were legit concerns, and Larry Michaels wrote those concerns down, and they did implement a couple of those things, like the Goldman lines. I remember that. That was one of the things that while he was here, they did implement, even though sometimes it doesn't work because of the staff. You know, some staff, let's just face it, doesn't pay attention as well as they possibly should. And it happens. I mean, but that's one of the things that they can definitely, gold member lines, getting people through. And if those other lines, fixing it.
Just having some, it's a very good concept. The execution is absolutely poor. There are not people standing there manning the lines. We don't get a ton of perks as season ticket holders. That is one that is invaluable if it actually works. Mm-hmm. And I'm right there with you, man. I'd always be front row and sitting there. And after a while, you know, I just started texting Larry my recommendations because I know he couldn't keep coming back to me. But a lot of good stuff came out of those things. And I remember one was, I wanted a diesel horn to blow when we had 1 hour left in the tailgate, 1 hour before kickoff. And I was told, no, we're not going to do a diesel horn, but guess what? They're shooting off fireworks. So the fireworks go off 1 hour prior to kick.
You know, I never knew that, brother. Yeah, I always wondered why they did that, and now I know.
Just to get people back in the stands, to let them know, hey, wrap up that tailgate. Let's get inside. Kickoff's about to be here. And I remember it was watching a pregame show one time, and I think someone caught the video of it. JP and a couple of the reporters didn't know it was coming. And all of a sudden, a bunch of explosions went off, and a couple of them like cursed on air during the pregame shows. It was absolutely hilarious. But good things can come of this. And yes, there's going to be bitch sessions, but I understand that it's their team. They're buying it.
Mm-hmm.
This is our team. We've been here. We know how bad it's been, and all we want is to make it better. And you guys are listening. We just want to fix this and get back to winning football. And let's just bring this thing hopefully back where it should be in DC. But we know You're going to do what you can. And hey, it can't get much worse than what we've dealt with the past 2 decades.
Well, I got to say this before we go. The Superdome is old as molasses, but each year they put lipstick on that pig and they make it look good. The Superdome.
I was just out there in New Orleans, man. Caesars bought the rights to it, and that thing looks nice.
Yeah, man. So if they can do it with the right money behind it, we can do it. But hey, I want to thank everybody once again for listening to the DMV Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Guys, keep hitting the like button and subscribing because you really are helping us. And the more you help us, we can help you. And before we go also, there will be 2 trips that are out right now. There'll be Atlanta and the Denver. So go to sbevents.net. You can book it straight from the website. Give me a call, talk to me. I'm always around. Thank you guys. And no matter what, you rep it hard or you don't rep it at all. Tailgate Ted, Rally Captain. We'll be out.